dog sight. Tell them been in that living room all white. I'm up all night, season ends while niggas sleeping. Lost so many guys, guess why I'm breathing. We keep it strong as the name live on, like if they was never gone. Mind blown, and neither might ever seen.
These are just, another example, from the outside looking in. It could be something else that we'll get into the stories. But, money doesn't fix everything. A lot of times it can exacerbate, and multiply our issues, our internal issues that we have going on with us. Regarding mental health and everything, it's people in the spotlight and the different things, the schedules. A lot of times a person can't handle it. Then on top of that, we all have real life reality that we have to deal with. That, a lot of times, money can alleviate to a certain extent, but it doesn't get rid of the problem. And sometimes, there's nothing money can do. Just ask Steve Jobs, right? And I mean that respectfully. But if you guys didn't know, last week, Cappie Pondexter, former WNBA star, she was in the league for, over a decade. Probably recognized as one of the greatest WNBA players in history. I've watched her all the way from the time she played in Rutgers and everything. And she just, her name stood out to me. I thought she always had, just a very unique name. So, I always followed her. I always followed her throughout her whole career. But anyway, back to the story. She made a very disturbing live and on IG and accused LeBron James of sex trafficking her and having her kidnapped. She says that's her reasoning for being missing for multiple months. Now, it came in the news initially, probably last year, that Cappie Pondexter had went missing, and the WNBA, they had put out a alert asking people to, keep an eye out for her, and, if they've heard anything, and, missing persons reports were filed. Well, allegedly she had been arrested. That's what eventually came out in the news, is that she had been arrested and been into some type of altercation with a person to where, the other person now, which is weird that the other person is listed as a private person. I think, it'll shed a little light it'll shed a little more light on everything if we knew who this person was, which I think, like I said, it's odd. I really don't see too many articles like that. So one thing I really want to say first is I don't want to say Cappie is lying. I don't want to say that, but I'm leaning toward, and in my opinion, it looks like she's suffering from mental health issues. Now, she could be telling the truth. Just because it's LeBron James, just because, in the public eye, he's always had, a squeaky clean image, and, he's done no wrong. And he makes millions of dollars, and he's a star. You can't put nothing past anybody. But it's just, it's hard to believe this. It's a hard thing to believe. But like I said, the details, seem very sketchy. So she went missing. The reason why she wasn't able to be located was because, according to the story and what was reported, when asked for her name to identify herself to police, she refused to. So they had her in jail under Jane Doe, which is why nobody, Cappie couldn't be, they couldn't find her nowhere. Now, was weird because after that, right after, it was found during all of everything that happened and the report came out, this happened back in October, that she was, she wasn't missing and she was actually in jail. When she got released, her, I believe, her spokesperson came out and said that Cappie had went missing once again. Now, I don't know what came after that. I don't know at what point she turned up. I found nothing, that showed that gave an update to that part to where she had went missing, right? So that's very weird. A lot of weird stuff goes on in California. A lot of weird stuff just goes on behind the scenes. I mean, think about it. Cappie was just on, NBA TV. She was good enough to, secure a job like that, sane enough to secure a job like that. So, I just want to I'm bringing this up because I want to be fair. And I don't want to just cast Cappie off as just, a mental head case or anything like that. It's just a weird situation. It's weird that she would say these things. Also, she made just odd claims saying, Beyonce was taken from her. Beyonce is her real wife. It's just, when you add everything up, it just looks to be a case of mental health. She's going on these whole tirades and cussing every, few seconds and, just going wild. She looks crazy up there. She looks crazy up there. Then, it just, you have guys like Larry Johnson who, and respectfully, I say this, but in my opinion, a lot of stuff Larry Johnson and things that he sheds light to, there's validation. But I feel like he reads too many conspiracy theories, and he's too deep into it to where, every single thing is a conspiracy. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes out here, but, at times, Larry Johnson, if you don't know, Larry Johnson is former Chiefs running back. You know the one, he ran for, I think 1,700 yards. He had 2 outstanding seasons, but that workload, that put a hamper on his career. He wasn't able to really recover from that. It was a large workload. He had just, about 400 carries in one season. This was in the, the late 2000s. But he's in that conspiracy theory, lane, and, he's basically, now I don't even want to say conspiracy. I don't want to cast him off of that. Cast him off as that. Everybody has a little conspiracy theory in them, whether they know or not, even the people who criticize that. But you know what I'm getting into. A lot of times, he dives into things and he makes claims that he doesn't have any information, no real substantial information to really back it up. So it just comes off as cuckoo. Whereas other times, yeah, some of the things he says can be validated. But he backed Cappie Pondexter up on this and said, she's telling the truth. She's not lying. So, like I said, I'm not saying she is or not, but it looks insane. It looks like a case of mental health. Hopefully that's not what it is, but, at the same time, you don't want it to be that, you don't want to hear that, LeBron James is sex trafficking someone. But if that's the truth, it has to be brought to the light. Justice has to be served. But mental health is nothing new when it comes to, Hollywood, the music, entertainment industry, sports, especially in sports, and mainly contact sports. Cappie plays basketball, but contact sports such as football. Of course, the NFL's been trying to fight, against CTE. They've been trying to make different changes, changing the rules on the way, helmet to helmet hits and the way a defender hits, the offensive player and, different things like that. There's been a lot of changes all because of the NFL's negligence over the years and, them having prior knowledge of the, of the effects of getting hit like that for years, but they ignored it. And all the effect that it had on many players, Hall of Fame and, so on. And they go into psychotic rages. So they've been trying to make that change, but, there's only so much you can do for physical, because even with all the changes they've done, football is still a physical sport, and you have some of the most athletic, strongest guys in the world hitting each other, at high speeds, full force. And that brings us into Richard Sherman and this whole situation and, this whole episode of, he basically crashed his car on the freeway. I really didn't get the whole sequence of events, but from what it looks like, at some point during the night, he crashed his car on the freeway, told his wife he wanted to kill himself. At some point, he made his way over to his wife's parents' house. It's over a dispute because he had didn't have custody of the children, and they had been remaining at the parents' house, and he wanted them back. He's extremely drunk that night, And so, what the Ring video showed was, which went, national, and everybody saw on television and social media, is Richard Sherman going crazy, going ballistic, and trying to kick down the damn door of his parents' house while they're telling them to go home and get back. And they have police, they have the police call, they have the 911 call and everything, and it was identified that the father had a gun and was prepared to use it should Richard come in that door, aggressively charge in, bust that door down. So, it's just by the grace of God that it never happened. That door was strong because he was laying into it. Had that door came open, we could be saying, R.I.P. Richard Sherman this week. And it's odd because of how Richard Sherman is viewed, and our perception of Richard Sherman. He's a very fiery individual, especially on that football field, outstanding talent. It is official tomorrow. Sorry about that. I don't know why that clown Sean Hannity popped up in the background, ruined my whole flow. But let me get back on track. So, extremely fiery talent, but the main thing, one of the things the perception that people had of Richard Sherman, and, it doesn't change, but he's an incredibly intelligent guy. Went to Stanford. Now, what that has to do with his mental health and his attitude really has nothing to do with it in all reality. But, given, because of his intelligence and, how he handles himself off the field and our perception, like I said, we don't know what goes on in everyday life. This comes as a huge surprise, a huge shock and a huge surprise. Him going to jail, him being arrested for something like this. And you want to see them, you want to see these players, you want to see them get some help. They have to get some help. A lot of times they do. A lot of times they do have, different avenues. It's just are they taking advantage of it? And do they have somebody that can help guide them to that? Or do they have a lot of yes men? And I'm not saying that this is what it is in, Richard or Cappie's situation, but, there's something going on. There's something going on. All we do is, we just see these sports players, we forget what they are. We forget they're human. We forget they're human. We look at them at these larger than life, figures, and they go out and they put on a show for us, entertain us, and they make millions, and, think because they make millions, everything should, like I said at the start of the video, everything should just be A-OK. Well, we all know, that's just not the case. Remember what happened with Junior Seau. So, it's just it's an odd situation. A lot of times people just get fed up. And, you're talking about, that, there's over 1,000 players in the NFL. So, you're going to get all type of personalities. You're going to get all type of, just temperaments. You're going to have all type of people with their own personal vices or their own personal demons that they're trying to fight. Only thing you can do is, just give them the support in the best way possible. Just wish them the best. Hopefully, things get better and, they can all bounce back. Like I said, a lot of it, just maybe just, from Richard's situation, it looks like, we all have family members that, battle, alcohol. I think he could, that outburst, that had to be triggered, mainly by alcohol. We all have, families and friends who, have endured this. We may be able to handle our alcohol and it has no effect like that on us. But, some people, it just drives them. They go way off the rails, to go way off the rails. So it just happens like that sometimes. The Cappie Pondexter situation, it's, you hope it's not drugs. You hope it's not, extended drug use. That's a reality within Hollywood and, in those leagues, especially people who have the money to purchase those type of things, and they have everything at their disposal. That means they have access. It's a gift and a curse. They have access to everything that they want. So a lot of times, especially when they're dealing with depression, they have the money to keep, to keep getting those different things that are their vices or things that are that they're looking to for healing, to suppress their feelings and different things like that, and they can keep supplying that. Whereas a person with not that much money, once they they can try to make themselves feel better for a little while, but at some point they got to face reality. Everybody's got to face reality, but when you have less resources and less, less ends to make those, different vices and, be able to make it happen. Y'all get me. Y'all catch my drift. So I wish the best for these two. I hope Richard gets some. Hope he gets some help. And Cappie, we're gonna keep looking into the Cappie Pondexter situation. Like I said, I'm not gonna cast her aside. In my eyes, in my opinion, her situation looks absolutely insane. it sounds like drug use, or it sounds like a person who's just flat out snapped. It sounds, she sounds insane. But I'm the type of person, I'm always going to be, try to be objective. I'm always going to try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm always going to try to, at least try to look at it doesn't hurt to look at the face value of what a person's saying, and then try to, take that and try to dig deeper instead of just casting them off. Because a lot of times we end up overlooking the truth because we just throw something away or just deem it as completely impossible to happen. So I don't want to do that. But hopefully those allegations aren't true. And hopefully, like I said, both these people get, help in the closure that they need. But tell me what y'all think about these. Tell me where you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong. And, also give me your insight. Give me your views on these two situations of Cappie Pondexter and Richard Sherman. Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And, let's keep pushing this grit culture, let's push it forward. Until then, I'll get up with y'all later. Y'all be easy. Be safe. Peace.